just get the recording going. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. So my name's Liam. I own a nutrition consultancy company called PH Nutrition. We're based at CrossFit Shapesmiths. Me and Mr. Lee Steggles go way back to university days. But yeah, today my job is literally to try and answer some of your questions that you've kindly posted in to Emma and Lee. But also just try to, like you say, to simplify things and give you a little bit of structure, or maybe like allay some fears, dispel some myths, and just try to give you some take-home points to streamline your supplementation choices, food choices, and then a little bit about kind of timing of training around the lunchtime Building Better Bones classes. As we said, my philosophy, my principles is about simplification. And that goes regardless if it's osteoporosis or anything to do with nutrition. It's such a confusing world, and it is amazing to have all of this new research. But I think you guys will attest to it, that the more you read, or almost the less you know, and it's just overwhelming. And it's what we want to try and do with these Q&As is kind of delve down into what everybody can be doing, and then also kind of get into a few specifics.
What we'll do, we'll get started, all right? I think the best thing to start with is really, as we were talking about, the amount of supplements that are kind of out there and on the internet. We just need to cover that off from the word go. So really, I just want to say, Liam, like, if in your professional opinion, like what actually should we be focusing on? I don't know if you can give us a little bit of a rundown on that.
Yeah, guys, stop me if I ramble on this one, because it's a massive topic. So what supplementation, like I said, there was a lot of questions on there today on the Q&A. So I'm just going to try and cover everything rather than the individual questions. So for me, supplementation is needed when there's a deficiency. Now, when we have osteoporosis, there is deficiencies in certain areas. The issue is that every person will have slightly different deficiencies, slightly different levels. So maybe some of you have already had some blood work done with your GP or a functional health practitioner. But I would highly, highly recommend, before you even start thinking about going to Holland & Barrett and starting buying a 2-for-1s or doing whatever, is to get some blood work done. And now what I mean by blood work is you use a company such as Thriver or Medichecks, and I'll send the link to this afterwards, rather than just the GP. Now, the GP will do a blood chemistry, which is fantastic, and maybe test for a few things such as liver function or vitamin D. But what you want is a more kind of comprehensive profile, where you might test inflammation, vitamin D status, zinc status, magnesium, and these types of things are going to give you a better insight in terms of what your body needs. Supplement vitamin D is crucial if you're deficient. This is, something that you really need to be focusing on. And one person asked about higher doses. Now, higher doses are absolutely fine if you're deficient. It's very, very hard to become toxic in terms of vitamin D intake, okay? It's very challenging. So I don't think you need to even worry about doing that. Like, you will have to take mega doses. So I think someone said about taking 4,000 to 6,000 IUs. That's absolutely fine. We've had people, on 10,000 IUs when they were deficient, and it takes maybe 2 to 3 months to come up to a normal level. So you're absolutely fine. So don't worry about that. Vitamin K is something that is, again, there's 2 different forms, vitamin K1, vitamin K2. A few people mentioned about, should you be taking it? There's some research that says it doesn't help. From my reading, it's crucial. Okay, I think it's a really, really crucial element to be taking. It's very hard to get a blood test on vitamin K. So it's just the mechanisms that it's for bone health. You need vitamin K. Vitamin K2 is the one that you want to be focusing on. And a few people mentioned about the type. So there's lots of different types, like 12 different types. 4 is the one you can get from food.
Right. Just talking to Karen about the calcium. You see, this is what's mixing me up about all the supplements, right?
Yeah.
I was told that taking calcium through supplements is very bad for your arteries because the calcium can go into your arteries and harden. So you're better off if you're getting calcium, get it from your food, not from supplements.
Liam will get to calcium.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hopefully back, guys. I'm so sorry. We'll see.
Oh,
We'll see if the internet holds out for some reason.
Ellie,
Yeah, so just to come in, Geraldine, on calcium there, straight back in, like, yeah, the research is that there is some on like hardening your arteries if you're consuming that from you said from a supplement that you think that it's an issue.
Yeah.
So again, this is very much dependent on the dose, but also, you know, the type of calcium. Okay, so there's 4 different kind of forms that you can take of calcium. Now, calcium, there's calcium citrate, and this is one that's actually absorbed more efficiently away, like in and away from meals. So it doesn't matter if you take it with meals or away from meals. So what you need to be worrying about doing is the amount that you're taking is not going to be, if you just take the recommended dose, like if you're not taking like excess, that's the issue when you're talking about kind of hardening arteries. It's the excess of calcium that you need to worry about. And the research kind of shows that it's quite high levels. And to be honest, like, they're very, even on every single calcium supplement I've seen, like the dose is like 3 to 4 times in the research what you need to be doing in terms of hardening arteries. So I wouldn't worry about it being an issue. What we can do, you know, you can take, I would say, instead of calcium carbonate, I would take calcium citrate. This is better absorbed. You know, it doesn't, so calcium carbonate is not very well absorbed away from meals, so you need to take it with food to help, whereas calcium citrate is really well absorbed either away or with meals, so it doesn't matter. Okay, right. So I would definitely take that form of calcium. And again, they're looking at hardened arteries, but that's such a small part of what causes like heart issues or, you know, whatever. And, you know, there's other factors that will play a much bigger role, you know, in terms of heart issues and stuff like that. Again, you don't need to worry about it. It's over a very long period with very high doses. So calcium is something that, again, a lot of people asked about. So I would say if you're I would focus on maybe taking calcium citrate, and you can, because that is absorbed away from meals. Now, if you are going to take calcium carbonate, then just take it with food. That's the best way to increase absorption. So if you're taking it away from food, then it's not going to be absorbed, which then it might be causing issues with your arteries. Okay, so right. If you are, you know, so it's that non-absorption that causes the issue. So you need to be making sure that you're taking it with food. Citrate, you can take it whenever. That would be my advice. And so yeah, apologies. I'm going to recap quickly. Vitamin D, take it higher doses if you're deficient. Okay, you need your levels around at least 60 to 75. Okay, nanograms. So you can be taking roughly, you know, 3, 4, 5,000 IUs, international units per day if you're deficient. Okay. Again, megadoses are not uncommon to treat an aggressive deficiency. So no issues whatsoever with taking higher dose vitamin D. There's been no adverse reaction. So please don't worry about that. Vitamin D is crucial. Okay. It's essential. I would begin taking it with food. It's a fat soluble vitamin. So you need to be taking it with a meal that contains fat. Okay, this is how you increase absorption rates. This is how you're going to get the benefits out of it. So that'd be an essential thing to be doing. Now, vitamin K, I think I got a lot jumped in and out. There's 3 types: vitamin K1 to K2, K3. A few people asked about K2 is the one that we want to be focusing on. Now, there's different types of K2. There's MK4 and MK7. Okay, I realize I'm getting a bit sciencey here, but MK7 is the one that the body can turn into MK4, another one. So supplementation, if you really want to worry about this, take MK7. MK4 is the one from foods. Okay, it's more abundant in food sources. Has anybody heard, or does anybody eat a food called natto? It's like a soybean. Has anyone heard of natto? Natto? It's a Japanese, like kind of like a tofu. Okay, this has like some of the highest amounts of K2. They eat it a lot in Japan. This, in the research to kind of boost levels, this is something that people can do. I think you can get it from kind of online shops, definitely, but like kind of health food shops. So if you're vegan, vegetarian, or just want to include a bit more kind of plant-based foods into your diet, then natto might be something that you put into your diet. So that'd be really beneficial. But again, vitamin K2, focus on the MK7 amount one, and that would be super beneficial. The next one to cover off is like your zinc and magnesium. Again, you can get this from your food. It's absolutely fine, but you need to be checking if you're deficient in it. You know, there's no point. I can't say yes, take it, or don't take it, because if you're not deficient in zinc and you take it, then you can become toxic. You know, and zinc is something that is depleted, same as zinc and magnesium, depleted when you exercise more regularly. So depending on the level of training that you're doing, you know, you might deplete your level. So get tested, and then you can streamline your supplementation. One thing that no one really mentioned was B vitamins. Does anybody take B vitamins? Yeah. So B vitamins are really good. Okay, there's a few research papers, because it's involved in kind of bone formation, but it also helps to lower homeocysteine levels. Okay, this is like inflammation. So this can block or interfere with bone health. And B vitamins are kind of cofactors with a lot of energy production as well, but they can help to lower homeocysteine levels, which will be really beneficial. So B vitamins kind of hit a few different things. And they're water soluble as well, so you need to continually take them. So this is something you can take most of the time. They're very cheap, and it'll be really beneficial. So I would definitely add those in, because it's something that not a lot of people mentioned or anything like that. So
I think it's quite a nice little overview there, just for supplements.
Yeah.
And again, when we come to anyone that's doing course of like Prolio or any of the injections, obviously just make sure you work with your doctor, because there are going to be caveats on these kind of things. All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But Liam's covered the basics on there, which is really good thing to do. And as we said at the start, if you can get blood, so you're going to know exactly what's going on in your body. Again, but that might be trumped by your doctor. So then the next thing, really, in terms of the questions that come in, it's just about food choices, and the question is, are there better foods for bone health, and what if people can eat specific ones like fish and FODMAPs and that kind of stuff? So Liam, do you want to just delve into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are sick to death of Googling best foods for bone health, and most of the time, if you Google anything, best foods for anything, you get oily fish, green veg, eggs, protein, colourful fruits and dark coloured, berries. And again, it does come down to doing those basics. Like these types of things are so nutrient dense, and they will be really, really beneficial because they have a wide range of vitamins and minerals and trace nutrients. Now, like I said, it's very challenging to get the nutrients that are good for bones from food. That's why I think a lot of people focus on supplements. So vitamin D, stuff like this. So yes, oily fish and salmon, green veggies, dark colourful fruits and veg, such as berries. They're just coming out of the season now, but like you can get frozen ones, stuff like cabbage, carrots, like the real basics, and a lot of green veg. These have really, really kind of, they're very nutrient dense for the amount of calories. I would be focusing, guys, on every single meal needs to contain some form of protein. Okay, this is essential because protein has amino acids. Amino acids help to us. They're building blocks. Now, the type of protein, you should try to rotate. So sometimes oily fish, sometimes lean meats, eggs, vegan alternatives are absolutely fine, but every meal needs to be containing some form of protein. Okay, so often we miss protein in breakfast and lunch, like it's very low amounts, and we have a big feed in the evening. What I really encourage you to do is try to distribute that across the day. This is all going to help your recovery from exercise, but that's an essential thing. So, you know, and then you can be focusing, I say, best foods for bone health are, you know, for me, they are the more kind of leaner cuts of meat, leaner fish, then having oilier fish, you know, a few times a week. Again, you don't need to be building every single meal around it. Eggs are fantastic if you're not vegan, because they have choline, B vitamins, you know, really kind of essential nutrients that help, as we spoke about in supplementation, to support bone health, but they also provide protein. So every meal needs to be containing protein, and every meal needs to be containing some form of color. Okay, now this is at lunch and dinner, we can be making, you know, like a healthy coleslaw, or we can having like, you know, some roasted veggies, or we can have a nice colorful salad, you know, and using this like simple methodology of just including 2 to 3 colors in each meal can be a really powerful thing. So like you could add berries and different fruits to your breakfast, or if you're having like eggs, you can add some mushrooms and spinach or tomatoes. Lunch, again, like building this around and making sure that you do that. Carbs and fats is another discussion, okay, like in terms of the macros and calories. But if every meal has a source of protein and 2 to 3 colors, honestly, that's the best foods for bone health and overall health. Okay, so you know, these are the types of things that you want to be building on, building a diet around. Specific foods, yeah, like, you know, kind of even just chatting to a few people then, just like you know, soya stuff, yogurts, dairy, you know, if you can tolerate it, like these are great foods, like the ones that, you know. The thing is that a lot of people won't be doing this consistently, and I think that's where we fall down. We might do it for like 1 or 2 days, and then it's like, oh, kind of haven't really eaten that for a week. Consistency and building your nutrition plan around that would be something that I would really focus on.
And that's just one thing of just doing the basics really well. Like, one of the reasons why you've all of you that turn up to the Building Better Bones, the reason that you've made so much progress is because you've just been so consistent with your 2 or 3 sessions a week, and you get a chance to build a really good habit. And good habits are equally as hard to break as bad habits. So yeah, like Liam says, it's just consistently doing the basics and having like a really basic philosophy and not overcomplicating.
Yeah, and just to come on to food choices there, like phytates. A few people mentioned about phytates. Does everyone kind of know like phytates, what they are? They're basically they're included in some foods, okay, like plant-based foods. And what they can do is they can kind of leach minerals and nutrients out of food. They kind of bind to them. So what that means is that when they bind to them, they just get excreted, and then you don't absorb them. So a lot of people would get worried about phytates, and people worry about this on vegan diets as well. Look, it's a few people kind of sent some bits around. You don't really need to worry about this, if I'm honest. If you are concerned about the level of consumption that you have of phytates, so they're in like beans, seeds, kind of nuts, some other kind of plant-based foods, and you're consuming a lot of these, then what you can do is take your supplements in a meal that doesn't contain phytate containing foods. So if you're having like a bean chili with, you know, like loads of phytate containing foods, then take your supplements at breakfast when you're having your eggs or your porridge, you know. Then the nutrients are going to get absorbed in that meal, and you're not going to worry about the phytates. Phytates are one of these things, again, it goes back to this like 1%. Like, it really doesn't matter, because it's just something that people don't need to worry about. And the phytate containing foods are often the foods that we get told to eat. White beans, you know, lots of veg, seeds. So it is very confusing. I completely understand. There are methods to reduce phytates, such as soaking beans and seeds. And you might have seen like activated seeds and nuts, but genuinely, like when you cook your foods anyway, like the phytates are reduced. So honestly, don't worry about it. And if you are, take them away from any kind of phytate containing foods. And you can just Google phytate containing foods, but it's basically beans, nuts, seeds, stuff like that.
Liam, what would you say about caffeine?
Yeah, I think caffeine is similar to people that maybe have issues with dairy and calcium. I think dairy and gluten and caffeine. Reducing caffeine and gluten and potentially kind of FODMAPs people mentioned. I think it's a useful strategy, and alcohol, because this has been shown to interfere with bone, absorption and reabsorption and health. So I would say limit it. I don't think you necessarily need to remove it, but I would definitely limit it, because this has been shown to help. Now, my issue with all of these is it's the dose. That's the devil is in the dose. And if you're taking 5 cups of coffee a day, then that's an issue. If you're having 1 cup of coffee a day, it's not a problem. However, if you really do want to, kind of say do everything that you can, then maybe switching to decaf would be, and you still like coffee, switch to decaf and lower the caffeine content. Caffeine can be an issue with bone health. So it might be something similar to alcohol. This might be something that you really want to reduce, and then have when it's a bit of a treat or in certain situations.
Yeah. And another one that we've got is dieting and bone health. Maybe you can just touch on the word dieting, and also maybe just look at key considerations when you're maybe trying to change body composition and all that kind of stuff, and its impact on bone health. So if you lose body mass, does that have an effect?
I thought this is a great question, whoever asked this. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, a few people asked about, like, say, just how to lose weight but still, make sure that I'm getting the right amount of nutrients. Now, for me, dieting is something that losing body weight is one of the best things you can do for overall health, because fat is an inflammatory tissue. So it's going to cause higher inflammation, and that's going to affect, our overall health, but it's also going to affect our bones. So losing a little bit of weight is going to be beneficial. Now, the way that you do this is that you have to be in a calorie deficit. We have to eat a little bit less than what we're expending. When we're trying to focus on bone health as well, you want that to be minimal, okay? Because the less we eat, the less opportunities we have to nourish our body. So then the less nutrients that we're taking in. So approaching it from a dieting point of view and still making sure that your bone health is taken care of, is that you need to make sure that you're being consistent with it rather than like crash dieting. Okay, so little small steps forward, maybe kind of even just like 200-300 grams you've lost a week. Okay, so if you're tracking yourself, you're like losing a little bit would be something I would advise. Going back to what I first said at the start, the key, you don't need to track your calories, in my opinion, but you do need to have some awareness. Protein, vegetables, fibre. These are the key things that you need to build every single meal around. If you focus on getting protein every meal, fibre at every meal, veggies in most, your main meals, this will make you feel fuller. It will reduce overconsumption of highly palatable foods such as snacks or cravings in the evening, and this will naturally help you to lose weight. This is something that I've just seen over and over again in people that don't want to track calories, but it also allows you to nourish your body enough to maintain your bone health. When you start to kind of see results and you feel a bit leaner, like again, there's less pressure on the joints, there's less inflammation in the body. That's the key thing for me in terms of bone health and losing weight. So I would advise, if you're carrying a little bit of excess body weight, then it'd be something that, rather than focusing on like real specific nutrients or whatever, box that off. But the biggest thing you can do would be to increase the nutrient density of your diet and maybe help to reduce your body weight.
And then if you were to switch the opposite way there, Liam. Could you give some advice for some people that maybe want to add a little bit of body weight?
Yeah. So that's a really good point, because being underweight also has issues in terms of bone health. It's kind of like Goldilocks porridge. Like, we kind of want the right amount. You know, it's we don't really want to be the end of the spectrum. So when we're trying to increase our weight, what you need to be focusing on doing is, my number one tip is increase meal frequency. A lot of people will go, oh, I need to put on weight, I need to eat a little bit more. Now, what they'll do is they'll eat a little bit more in their main meals and feel really full, or just kind of feel like, you know, that was stuffed and it was too much. And then they can do that for kind of 2-3 days. And then they're like, it's just way too much to eat that much food. Whereas if you simply added in an extra snack, maybe mid-morning, mid-afternoon, or you just increased the size of your lunch, you added something on post-dinner, whether that could be a little bit of like yogurt and fruit, get that protein and micronutrients up. That's going to bump up your calories really simply. And then you're going to be able to kind of keep a relatively consistent structure. You can also focus on then getting more calorie dense foods. So, you know, instead of eating, for example, white fish, you can eat salmon. So for the same piece, you've increased by 80 to 100 calories. You know, instead of cooking your rice in water, you can cook it in reduced fat coconut milk. You know, like, you've got to be thinking about what calorie dense foods that you can include that are going to help you to keep very similar kind of like meal choices, but they're just going to add an extra maybe kind of 250 calories onto your daily diet. And again, similar to what we want to do with dieting, we want to make small changes and be consistent with those. And it's the same with putting on a little bit of body weight. But remember, Goldilocks porridge, we kind of want the right amount. So if you feel that you're underweight, then you need to be consistent with your choices. And if you're overweight, I think it's going to be a really good thing to help lower inflammation and reduce the stress onto your body.
And we can look at, we've got some recipes in terms of snack options as well, because often I find people will get this type of advice and then the first question that comes to mind is like, oh, I need to eat snacks. Rubbish. What snacks?
Yeah.
And then,
that's a good one. Let me list off a few for people straight away. Like, we come up, I mean, Emma is probably the queen of snacks, so she can probably ask you some and you don't want Lee's snacks, by the way, you know. But Emma's, like, we work together and we would have like rice cakes and hummus. We would have boiled egg wraps. You know, like, you've got to come away from maybe quote unquote snack foods and actually have like a actual real food as a snack. So boiled egg wraps, like in a like a little tortilla wrap.
I decided to start doing my snacks as like mini meals.
Yeah.
Most a little bit of egg and hummus in a wrap, and so
and
much
again, we've got loads of different ones. There's lots of different options that you can kind of focus on. Yogurt and fruit is a nice one. Even using a smaller portion of porridge. So it's what you have for your breakfast, you could have a smaller portion in the afternoon or in the evening. Again, using something like a chia seed or flax seed, you know, just as a bit of texture on those, or a little bit of granola. Again, you've got to be thinking about like what types of foods and how can we incorporate these. M&S, if you go past there, they do a 3 for $7, like a little.
Oh
no.
It is good, the 3 for $7, to be fair.
It was doing so well.
Little packet, but you could have those. Yeah, you could have those in a little.
Oh, Liam, we lost you again. We'll have a brief interlude for a cup of tea, I think.
Talking of snacks.
We just lost you, mate, for time for a snack. That's what the internet's telling us. Yeah, and
then
then
snack options across for sure.
Yeah.
My favourite.
We've got some questions here. So there's a question, Liam, on we've got 2 more things to cover, guys. The question on menopause and kind of how to eat to help with going through the menopause and its effect on bone health as well. Obviously, which is a very specific question, but I'm sure you can shed some light.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Pregnancy and menopause is a tiny bit out of my scope of practice. I don't really read much about this, but we do work with pre and postmenopausal women as well as pregnant women. But if I'm honest, like, this is where you need to find out your blood work levels, your hormone levels. You can get these tested. And then it does come down to the basics. Like, what we find around menopause is that people need to increase their protein and their slow release carbohydrates. All too often we see people eat too many quote unquote like high sugar foods or highly palatable foods around kind of this, because they feel kind of lacking in energy, or they feel that they need a boost, and actually this just sends them on a bit of a roller coaster. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but protein intake with more fibre, okay, that's a real key thing around menopause, because it helps to stabilize blood sugar levels, and it can make you feel fuller, and give you a bit more balance. So I would really focus on that. Now, fibrous foods can be like oats, chia seeds, flax seeds, vegetables, root veg. So instead of maybe having breads and rices and stuff, you might want to focus on like parsnips and sweet potatoes and beetroot and stuff like this, and squash, because they're a little bit more fibrous, and that's just something that we found to be really beneficial with menopausal women. But I'm really sorry, guys. Like, I don't really want to be chucking out any more recommendations, because it's a tiny bit out of what I do. But if you maybe reach out to to some other people with a bit more expertise, you can do that.
Into that.
Yeah,
I think little bits like that are super helpful. It's just one or two things, and that we know that makes massive changes if we can get those one or two things consistent.
Yeah, the root veg and the protein and like the thing, that's a real thing that we've seen a lot, like really, really beneficial. So that's going to be there. Look, pregnancy wise, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't. If it's pregnancy induced osteoporosis, like, yeah, you need to work with your GP and your midwife and someone a bit more speciality with that.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, you know, with all this nutrition advice, is really, it does boil down to what Liam's telling you is the basics, and doing the basics consistently is going to put you in a much better state, full stop, no matter what condition you may have. Like any medical condition, if you're eating well and you're taking exercise, we know you're going to be in a really lovely position. But yeah, Liam, thanks for your time, mate. I really appreciate you running through all of that.
Well, one more thing, guys. There was a question on collagen. I don't know if anyone put that on there. Was that anybody that mentioned about collagen?
Yeah.
I end up reading stuff for about half an hour on this. There's kind of one meta-analysis recently, but there's 3 big studies done on collagen and bone health, and all of them showed beneficial results. So if you're taking it, keep taking it. This is both type 1, type 2 collagen, but yeah, the collagen supplementation would be, actually, I didn't think it would. That's why I ended up reading it, because I was like, don't really know why. But yeah, the mechanisms behind it is really, really solid. And I would, it's been really beneficial. And one of the studies was in postmenopausal women as well. So it was really, really solid research. Well done. So I would, maybe that's something just to touch on. That would be, keep that in.
How do you take collagen? What is it?
So collagen is basically, it's kind of form of protein. So you can get it in a powder. That would probably be the best way to consume it. You can get collagen powders, and you'll see it be like type 1, type 2. So I would definitely, you'll see one with a mixture, and I would say that you can take collagen powder. You can actually get one on a site called Bulk Powders if you type it in, and if you take collagen with vitamin C, it helps to basically, vitamin C is a precursor to collagen formation in the body anyway. So if you take it with a little bit of vitamin C, this product has vitamin C in it. So you can get lots on the Amazon. On Bulk Powders is the one that I found that had vitamin C. But yeah, it would be beneficial. It's also good for skin and overall health. So
I was going to say it's useful for other things as well. It's not just bones, is it?
Skin, nails, hair. So that might be something that you can introduce.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Really good. Thanks for your time, Liam. Like I say, it's hopefully lots of lovely information there that you can take and include for your own self. Brilliant stuff. So yeah, we'll post the recording as well, and so you've got it to kind of look back on. We'll give you some notes. We'll give you some further links. Everyone find that useful?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So good.
Thank you
Brilliant.
very much.
And hang around just for 2 minutes after everyone's gone, and we'll have a quick chat. Good stuff. Well then, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
That's really
Thank
helpful.
you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you on a
Thank
Saturday.
you.
I know, right?
Thank you.
Mhm.
See you Monday.
See you Monday.
See you Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monday.
Weekend on. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Lee. Thanks, Em. Thanks, Liam.
Much
Yeah.
better than the Saturday morning kitchen, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is far better.
Thank you.
Far
See you
more
Monday.
useful.
You still got
Thanks
the
a lot.
ball.
See you Monday. Bye.